as we load into game number 1, Oxide LE. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, swinging all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have the red Zerg player coming out from the land of Finland. He is, of course, going to be representing ENCE Esports, the reigning DreamHack Masters champion. He is Serral.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the French Protoss player. He is blue, representing himself, as this man is teamless. Looking at you, Golka. It is DnS.
I mean, he's in the lobby, yeah. We can look at Coca.
We can look at Golka.
Oh, look at him. It's a beautiful man.
he's quite charming. Oh god, where's this going? What, the hell, man? Oh god, and so far we have
Let's keep things PG.
The shirts are off me. But so far everything is pretty stock standard so far, and we were talking about it before, right? You know, when you're up against, I have to wonder, when you're up against a player of the caliber of Serral, literally one of the best players in the entire world, the hell do you do?
You pray?
Pray? Adopt a religion, you know? Just
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh god. You ring up Rainer, you ring up Max Packs, I guess, maybe Showtime, yeah. Like. Oh,
yeah, SM, how do I beat Serral?
No,
like,
you know what?
Mate, I'm trying to figure that out.
Mate, you know what you do? You message King Cobra, that's what you do. Yeah.
Easy. And sure, many people might be saying, well, King Cobra, actually, his best matchup is PvT. I'm sure it translates.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's about coming up with ideas here. Unfortunately, so far, we don't have a proxy or anything like that. Everything so far is at home here for DnS, so he's going to be able to get into his game. And we'll see how he prefers to play at this matchup, whether he's going to go and do whatever every other Protoss player does and go double Stargate Void Ray, or if he's going to try and spice things up a little bit with some Twilight Cancel play instead.
Yeah, I was getting a little bit excited when I saw that probe patrolling outside Serral's natural until I remembered that this isn't a PvT, so or PvP, so yeah, no shield battle shenanigans as of yet. They're still in game number 1. DnS may be, you know, still deciding how he wants to approach this match against a Titan like Serral.
Exactly, and there we have it, our first answer. So something that's interesting is that DnS did get his Stalker out first, to help try and deny as much scouting as possible from this Overlord, and that is because he is not going for a Stargate opener. He is instead going for a Twilight Council.
Yeah, that can be a bit of a tell for very experienced Zerg players. You see, the Adept first usually means a Stargate. If you see a Stalker first, probably not going to be that Stargate opening. And Serral's taking advantage of that, you know, just droning up as much as he can. He knows that he doesn't really have to worry about anything coming his way yet.
Yeah, exactly, and here we go. We do see the commitment into Glaive Adepts. The next big thing that we're going to be looking at from the side of DnS is, 1, of course, denying the scout. 2, how many gateways are going to be thrown down? How committed is this going to be? As it looks like DnS actually wants to take a third base behind this. No, like, 2 base shenanigans. We're not going to be seeing, like, I imagine 6 or 8 gateways, probably the more standard 4.
Yeah, a little bit surprised that DnS is willing to extend the game a little bit longer, right? But isn't as committed to the glaives. He's thinking ahead again. Grabbing that robo facility, but shouldn't be using it for the... Well, he still can get a Warp Prism, but
yeah,
probably won't be, again, too committed when he's only got 3 gates.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine we probably should see a War Prism coming out so he can be aggressive across the map with his Adepts and maybe try and get some damage done and slow Serral down. Meanwhile, Serral, he's kind of already prepared for this, right? Like, obviously, he never saw a Void Ray, so he knows that's not coming out. He does finally go in with his Overlord, confirms that it's a Twilight Council, confirms that it's researching. If there is a Dark Shrine behind this, he's not too fully aware of it, but he's already making roaches, like, he's already preparing for this.
Yeah. Gotta appreciate that about Serral always. He always covers his bases. Definitely felt like more of a safety Roach Warren, but Now he realizes that, yeah, I could actually utilize it, and it's going to be what I need to defend. Glaives is finished up, and that's a lot of adepts making their way across the map.
Oh yeah, they do get spotted by the Lings, though, so Serral is well aware of them. He's making a massive wave of 20 Lings behind this. Roaches are popping out as well, and we'll see if he can keep up with the Shades, or if DnS can get into one of those mineral lines.
He's gonna try. Serral gonna be guarding those Shades with his Lings. DnS does not commit. DnS still hasn't gotten a Warp Prism out, so
Yeah.
again, not the most committed glaive opening, but when you make this many adepts, you gotta make sure you get some damage done.
Yeah, I mean, the least that he is getting done right now is he is keeping Serral at home. He does commit to this Shade here, trying to focus down whatever he can, but nice pull away from Serral. So far, he hasn't lost a single drone. The Lings are ready to surround whenever the opportunity arises. Oh my god, almost a drone goes down as he commits to Shade, goes over to the natural.
And immediately gets surrounded by the Lings, tries to shade out, but these roaches are in position to take out as many adepts as possible. Only 3 adepts make it out of that. Can you believe it?
May, and 3 adepts is sometimes all you need because 10 workers in total do go down, a decent chunk to be honest. And behind this, what's important is that, again, the Robo was pumping out nothing but Immortals at home. DnS is getting ready for the follow-up counterattack of roaches and Lings.
Yeah, and honestly, there's not too many of either unit right now for Serral. Sort of dips his toes into the waters, notices the unit composition of DnS, and decides, I need some Ravagers, because you've got a lot of sentries and potentially force fields.
Yeah, not a lot of stack defense though. Finally, the first shield battery does finish up. Oh, decent force fields. He does catch one of these Ravagers, so a nice pickup.
It just wanted to escape. It just wanted to return to its friends.
The poor Ravager. Meanwhile, the Lings trying to go for a bit of a run by, but the wall is indeed a wall. You know, they do not find a way into the third base or the natural, so Serral does back off. He also realizes, mate, that's a decent amount of like army and stack defense. I cannot break you at your third base. I'm gonna back off and drone up.
Yeah, what's that age-old saying? When your opponent defends, expand.
There you go.
Serral's not quite expanding, but he's getting a lot of drones, as he was saying. He's just making sure his economy is as stable as possible as he moves to the lair stage. And there's the expand.
Yeah, we do see the fourth.
Never should have doubted.
Do you see the fourth base on the way for both players? Serral does confirm this with a bit of a Ling run by. Unfortunately, the Lings weren't able to do much about it as it does get up and running. Meanwhile, DnS hasn't confirmed the fourth, but again, like he's still trying to secure himself here on his side of the map. Not really intending to move out anytime soon, as Serral is trying to sneak out a bit of a Spire.
Ooh, cheeky.
Which has
I'll tell you what, Immortals, so don't shoot up. Oh, well then. But he's gonna commit to that.
He is. I mean, DnS, he's gonna be, I imagine, doing a follow-up scout with the Haluk to make sure there's no cancel on that Spire. But again, for the most part, he's well aware of what is coming his way, and he should be preparing, there we go, with cannons in the mineral lines.
Yeah, taking this very, very seriously. Does not want to get any economic damage dealt to him by those Mutalisks. He's also finishing up that Templar Archives, which, again, another very important unit against Mutalisks specifically. And even if, you know, Serral doesn't commit too hard to the Mutas, Storm is still an excellent zoning tool.
That it is. Archons are going to be amazing as well. I do also hope that DnS actually clicked on what he saw, by the way.
Oh, that's actually a possibility, yeah.
Because it does kind of look like a Spore as well, maybe, so hopefully he did click. I am a little bit concerned about that, by the way. Meanwhile, at the moment, what he has to be concerned with is the Ling Roach Ravager army right now trying to find a way into one of the more exposed locations here, but he doesn't find a way in, and so far, Serral doesn't pull the trigger.
Yeah. Kind of the Serral that we know and love, the Serral that is patient. He will poke around and try to find openings, but if none are available, he will wait until one is. He's not going to try to force anything.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, the Adepts are going to shade in. He confirms the Spire. Also, the Mutas did take down that Warp Prism, so he is well aware. And there we go. Cannons finally started the main and the natural, but I was a little bit concerned about that. But, I mean, at least the Mutas did reveal themselves, so now he can prepare.
Oh, so gonna go straight for the natural, the one base that doesn't have any cannons. Yet. DnS cutting some corners here and being abused for it as, oh my god, the workers are going down. The Stalkers, a little bit of mispathing there. Maybe while Banelings roll into the third base. Mutalisks are cleaning out the natural while this all happens. The Stalkers, there are a lot of Stalkers, but surprisingly, they aren't quite able to clean out the Mutas. DnS now down 30 workers against his opponent.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the Lynx, oh my god, they do get a run by. The Archon does go down. The Lynx also trying to close the distance, getting on top of the sentries and the High Templar.
Actually able to take out a couple of High Templar and a couple of sentries too. Serral's Biles are still a little bit on cooldown, so he can't quite bust through there. Also doesn't want to move into this choke point while DnS has Storm.
Yeah, definitely.
So again, he waits, he finds another opening.
Exactly, and now it's DnS, he's just stuck on 4 bases. Serral, he's getting his 5th up and running. If he wanted to, he could probably expand and take another base as well. Oh my god, actually, Serral, he actually almost gets to the top of the army. Jesus.
Yeah, I was really worried for the High Templar. They looked like the Banelings were able to connect, but instead a couple of Banelings connect with the workers here by the 4th base location. Serral starving out DnS hard.
Exactly, Serral with a feint, right, posturing with his main army, forcing DnS to focus on that, and instead, he sneaks in with a run-by, he sneaks in with his mutas, and just cripples the economy of DnS. He's down to 49 workers, he's really struggling to remax, he just doesn't have the economy. So I say remax, to just max out, period.
Pretty much. Notice that there hasn't really been any major, like, army engagements so far. Like, there was 1 or 2, but there were fights where that Serral sort of realized, I can't win this yet, I'm gonna pull back and get ready for round 2.
Exactly, like, Serral's never really committed into anything yet, but he's still just trading so efficiently because of that. He just keeps like, poking and prodding, finding a weakness in the defenses, and just exploiting that. It's been insane. We do have some run-bys that DnS is trying to go for, but he just doesn't get anywhere near any of these mineral lines, other than the initial adepts at the start of the game.
Yeah. Well, Serral setting up a little bit of a flank, just trying to see if he's able to collapse on top of this army. It's very beefy. Oh, the Storms take out so many Banelings over here.
Problem is that there are so many more left over. To be fair, there were juicy storms. There were juicy storms, but mate, you need a couple more of those if you really want to go up against Serral.
The flank is being set up. Serral, he's just waiting for DnS to step into his parlor in the middle of that map.
Oh my god.
And all of this still planning for the next phase of the game, involving a great aspirants of Brood Lords.
Oh my god, DnS, do you really want to push into here? Like, he's completely surrounded right now. Oh my god.
Doesn't commit entirely, just sends the Stalkers forward, and yeah, Serral does not want to fight purely Stalkers right now. He wants more damage. He wants to be able to smash his army and win that engagement. So instead, it's just trying to find another way.
Oh, that he is. Meanwhile, oh my god, he's going to pull the trigger. He actually dives in with his Banelings. Not the most efficient trade into Archons.
Yeah, the Blinks were also good enough here for DnS to avoid most of these Baneling connections. A lot of Roaches and a lot of Ravagers do get taken out. But to be fair, that's exactly what Serral wants at this stage, right? He wants to get rid of his Roaches and Ravagers. He wants to replace them with 112 Lings, apparently. I thought he was going to make some corruptive Broodlords.
I thought the same thing, but to be fair, he needs an army now. He cannot wait for Broodlords because DnS is in his face. He's taking down the 4th base. He's going to be able to take down the 5th as well, or 6th even. Meanwhile, Serral, he's being patient. He's getting ready for another massive surround.
DnS is starting to fight back this game. He's definitely got some momentum going his way, but does Serral have enough to stifle that? Some very juicy storms. DnS has been able to utilize these choke points so well to his advantage.
Exactly, and I'm just so surprised that Serral is relying so much on nothing but Ling Bane. Like, again, like, with the sheer amount of Archons, he just can't get in there with them. On top of that, the storms isn't giving him an easy time either. Finally, we see Corruptors on the way for those Broodlords, but that's gonna take a long time, mate.
Time that DnS is unwilling to give up. The Banelings crash into the Archons again. Some of them don't even connect. Some of them just get taken out by the splash damage. It looks like Serral has enough to chase this back. Archon juggling has been on point. The Mutas get taken out, and DnS has enough to maintain his foothold.
Wow, exactly. Like, it feels like Serral this entire time has just been trying to brute force his way through with just sheer force of Banelings, but it's just not really working out for him. It was enough to hold on though, and because of that, DnS isn't feeling confident. You could argue maybe he had a moment there to just press his advantage and keep going, and I would agree, because the longer he waits, the bigger chance Serral has to make those Broodlords.
Absolutely. Serral's starting to remax right now. There was a little bit of a slim window that DnS may have been able to just continue to keep Serral down, but Now he's getting a, what was this, a 5th base? I guess the intention was for this to be the 7th base, but it's going to be his 5th base on DNS's side of the map.
I'm also a little bit surprised because I'm pretty sure we saw Corruptors being produced earlier, but I think Serral actually canceled them, so he has to remake them.
Oh.
Yeah. So because that, again, a bigger delay on those Broodlords, but when they finally come out, there is no real answer to Broodlords right now. Like, there's no Stargates, there's nothing to transition into Air Toss. So
pretty much.
They are going to be like the win condition for Serral a little bit.
Yeah, Archons are pretty good with their splash damage against Brootlings, but they have such a short range they can't really get under those Brootlords. I feel like DNS's best anti-Brootlord unit right now are these Stalkers.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really have too many of them.
Exactly, and it's so difficult to blink under the Broodlords when you have so much Lingbane Road Ravager underneath them to protect them. So it's going to be difficult for DNS, and again, like, he just doesn't realize what's coming his way. He never scouted the Greater Spire, he still hasn't seen the Broodlords or the Corruptors, so he's still prepared for Lingbane Road Ravager when Serral is past that now.
Yeah, it's definitely a game where DNS has been doing a real good job of keeping up with Serral's current tech. But now Serral has moved on, right? It's like a game of Civ where they're both in the medieval era and kind of stalemating, but then Serral suddenly discovers dynamite and he's shelling away at DNS's army from afar.
DNS is hung up on the past, you know, like there was some good times back in high school, but mate, you know, you're 30 years old, you know, move on.
That's funny, youngest
I love you, DNS. As the Broodlords are coming in here, we do have a couple of storms, but again, there's nothing stopping really the Broodlords. He has to be careful though. Serral cannot allow these Archons or Stalkers to get underneath them.
Yeah, he needs to make best use of dead air as possible. A lot of Zealots come down and run by. Take out a couple of these bases. The Broodlords is finally starting to back this army into a corner. A lot of Archons being taken out, as well as the Immortals. The High Templar are still around. But the more that the High Templar lose their buffer, the more exposed they get to the Brootlings.
Exactly. What I want to commend DNS though, because again, harassing like this, taking out a base, taking out 16 drones, this is really well done. And Serral, he used to have a bank. He doesn't anymore. He's already spent it all to make the Broodlords. Problem is that he has the Broodlords.
Exactly. And he's maxed out with them, so...
Yeah, that's the biggest problem here. DNS is still struggling, and he's still forced to continue on with his army composition. He needs to transition at some point, but he doesn't really have the spare resources to do so.
And he does it, but to be fair, no, it's DNS.
Yeah.
Rulers are starting to get into position.
A little bit exposed, but I love how we see the Spines repositioning at the same time. The War Prism does try to sneak into the main base, but there is a Corruptor here to push this away. The War Prism does take a little bit of hull damage, and now the Broodlord's getting a little bit over-eager. But again, I guess they have nothing to be worried about.
Yeah, DNS just really doesn't have an easy answer. If he blinks Stalkers forward, if he moves the Archons forward, all these Banelings are going to be able to take them out. And sure, Banelings don't trade too efficiently against Archons, but DNS doesn't have DNS does have a lot of Archons left.
Yeah.
Okay, now he does.
And
he just quickly
morphs them in.
Morphs them in.
And what's concerning is that now the War Prism has been dealt with. It's gone, and now Serral, he can focus the entirety of his attention here on the main army engagement. Ooh, one Broodlord will go down for free. Nice pickoff. Meanwhile, the Banelings all get sniped.
Very nice bit of damage here for DNS. I'm significantly less worried about the Brootlords now for DNS. The Roach Ravager army is such a good buffer for them, but if DNS is able to deal with them, he can just blink on forward underneath the Broodlords. Already picks off a couple of them. Storms do a good job of sorting away some of the army, but the High Templar was so exposed. Only one of them is left.
So many of them went down. And we do see a blink on forward here. He's trying to focus down as many of the Broodlords as he can, but it's not going to be enough here. I think 4 Broodlords go down, but the Roach Ravager is going to clean everything else up.
That was without a doubt a desperation blink for DNS. Ate a lot of biles with that blink as well. Serral takes game number 1, but it definitely looked shaky at times.
DNS didn't take that, he didn't just take that, mate. He fought it, he fought hard. Serral was forced to work for it. Mate, what a game 1.
Absolutely, and we were thinking, well, this is going to be a one-sided match. DNS, he has to have the best day of his life, and Serral needs to be having an off day, but that was a very close first game.
Yo, that was
And it's
great.
not like Serral, yeah, and it's definitely not like Serral was slipping
Yeah, like
at any points.
you could argue that maybe Serral was maybe a little bit too stubborn when it comes to
Maybe.
his army. He was stuck on Ling Bane Road Ravager for a while there. It took him a while. It took him far too long to get into those broodlords. But like at the same time, again, DnS didn't make it easy for him, and I'm very impressed with how he played that game out.
Absolutely. Again, I have to commend his use of storms, right? Making sure that every single time he stormed, he was able to either completely zone out Serral's army and buy himself some time to reposition his own army, or just snipe half of the Baneling count.
Exactly.
A little bit use of choke points as well.
I think
he positioned his.
Yeah,
he definitely has some very good positional awareness.
There was definitely one moment there for DnS, and we even mentioned it during the cast, where there was like a moment where he could have pressed his advantage, and it was when he was outside the natural base after he had just killed 2 hatcheries with his main army and it was pushing on forward. And it was that moment when Serral made a wave of like 120 lings. If you recall, against all those Archons. And to be fair, like, sure, DnS took a lot of losses, but he didn't press his advantage. Instead, he backed off, and he gave Serral so much freedom there. And you could argue that maybe he could have tried to push into the natural. It would have been hard. But maybe he could have done it.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? When you're in that position as DnS, you know you have a bit of a chance, but it is a slim window of opportunity.
Yeah.
Do you want to take that risk against Serral of all people, who is known to be able to pull off defenses out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden have no army and be prone to a counterattack? DnS had a tough choice to make, and he made his choice. Unfortunately, it felt like that choice kind of prolonged the inevitable.
Yeah. It was like, as the game progressed, like we saw, right, as soon as the Broodlords came out, like it was just all in Serral's like hands, you know, the game essentially.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I still love how DnS played that out. You could argue that maybe he lacked a little bit of scouting information, but amidst all the chaos, to actually spot that Greater Spire so we can start to transition to prepare for it. But Oxide also doesn't give you a lot of room as well. It's not like Romanticide, you know, you don't have a lot of time and room to tech up and tech switch.
I definitely agree with that. I also kind of feel like, even though we knew that Serral had a massive advantage after taking those Broodlords, there were a couple of times we saw the Stalker count of DnS and thought, oh, Serral, if you expose your Broodlords a little bit too much, you could get blinked under.
Exactly. Ooh, well, GG, well played to both players, and we're going to be diving into game number 2. We, of course, have the map available here, and it is going to be Jagannatha.
LE.
Oh.
Which I have to wonder, if we have a similar game that happens, right? If Serral goes for the Roach Ravager Baneling into Greater Spire versus DnS's Archon Immortal with whatever supporting gateway unit he needs at the time, whether it be Zealots or Stalkers, I feel like Jagannatha would lend itself better to DnS. Which is also why I have to wonder if Serral is going to be the one switching things up.
That's the thing, right? Like, Jagannatha opens up a lot of different play styles. We've talked about it before, where Skytos can do so well here on this map. At the same time, because of the speed zones, all-ins can do really well from the Zerg side, you know? Like, whether it's a Queen Roach Ravager push or a Hydra timing, which we have seen earlier today in Taiwan, Hong Kong. So, yeah, like, we could see some more of that, or we could see something completely different. That's the thing, like, I'll be honest, I'm not too familiar with DnS's playstyle in this matchup. I don't know if he embraces Skytos. I know that there are some players that just don't enjoy playing it. So I'm not too sure.
Right, there are three segments of Protoss, aren't there? There are players who live for Skytos and they love it. They're finally glad that the meta has settled on that for now. There's the Protoss players who don't like Skytos, but they play it anyway because it's a pretty successful unit composition. And then you have the Rebels who say, I don't need no Skytos. I don't care. I gotta do what I enjoy and still find success anyway.
I do what I want.
And then we also have the players who do that, but less successfully. Anyway, we are going to be continuing this best of 3 ZVP here on Jagannatha LE. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner the blue Protoss player coming out from the land of France. He is going to be representing himself as he is currently teamless, but probably all of the other French boys, you know, they're connected by spirit. He is DnS.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Jagannatha LE, we have the Finnish Zerg player. He is red, representing ENTS. And the most recent DreamHack champion, it is Serral.
And in case anyone asks, I do mean that the Polish Terran player connects all of the French players. Serral going for a pool first this time.
Yeah, opening up with a pool first. He's also scouting around with his drone, which was a little bit surprising to me. We don't see that too often, but yeah, a little bit scared of what his opponent could be doing, whether it's a proxy or something like that. So opening up, safe.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a safety pool. Not a crazy 12 pool or even 13-12 or anything like that. He still wants to go into the mid-game. Just wants to make sure that in case DnS goes for any proxies, he has the links to fight them.
Ooh. That is the question here. That is the question. The 6 links are going to be being made here. That's interesting to say the least, because typically, especially if it's a safety pool, you only make like 2 to 4. But to make 6 means he does want to go across the map. DnS has to respect this. Obviously, he's aware of the pool first because he went for a probe scout and he knows how late the hatchery is, the natural, I should say. So he should be chronoing out this zealot. He should be walling off. These links shouldn't deal too much damage. I keep saying should though. Because there's no zealot.
That was the operative word. There's no zealot. That wall is not a wall. That is a bit of an Arctosis pylon. The adept is starting to get chronoed out.
Really? DnS.
Oh no,
the
this can't be how it all ends.
They're gonna kill the pylon, mate. The boys are being pulled, but the pylon is already taking damage. It's gonna go down. The adept will not finish.
And now the Lynx can focus entirely on the probes. DnS is going to have the best mineral walking of his life, and even then, it's going to be tough.
Like
is this really
not like this? Oh,
this wasn't intended to be an all-in from Serral.
It was just 6. The problem is that DnS scouted this. He saw the pool first. He saw it with his own eyes, and they did nothing. Oh my god.
He keeps denying the pylons, and man, this is going to be one of the most painful ways to take it out. Single G, Serral takes that series 2-0.